Hare Krishna, bro.
Hare Krishna. Jai. I'm delighted to be. I'm getting an echo. Okay, better now. Okay, let's see if I can unecho this. I will try to unecho it. Okay, we're good now. I'm delighted to be here. I'm sorry I can't be in person. My wife has some health challenges that preclude me being in crowds of people who may have flu, COVID, or cooties. And you just don't. So I have to be a little extra cautious. Otherwise, though I helped found Krishna House, I haven't been there in 2 years because of COVID considerations and all. I have made a suggestion to the management, but they turned down the idea. The idea was that both men and women all wear burqas.
I'm still thinking about it.
That would be gender neutral and prevent a lot of problems. But somehow management added that to my long list of stupid ideas. So that did. So I'm glad to be with you. Now I'm going to do something a little unusual, but this is a little bit for me. And who has the microphone? Okay, I'd like you to do one thing, pass down the microphone, and I'd like to know who's there. I can sort of see you, but not everyone. Just say your name, your service, and something no one in the room knows about you. You don't have to do the last one if you don't want to. And I just want to have an idea who's there to get to know you a little better, because other than at Krishna lunch, I really don't get to see you. I meet professors regularly at Krishna lunch, but then I'm off with them and I don't get to meet you. So may we begin?
Hare Krishna, Brahmacharya Gopal. You know me.
I know you so well. I miss you, Gopal. Gopal, we'll go for a walk together soon.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Tyler. I'm a month into living at the ashram. I wash dishes for the Krishna lunch, and my favorite color is green.
Very good. And Lord Ram, so you are a Ram Bhakta then, if green's your favorite color.
Wow.
He got you.
That's insightful. Maybe we could have further conversations.
Sure. Who's next?
Hare Krishna, this is Riddhi, and my service is Krishna lunch. Something no one knows. This is hard, but maybe that I've been to about 8 schools throughout, my elementary school.
Oh my, sounds like your folks might have been in the military or they were running from the law, one or the other.
We just traveled a lot.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Next.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My name is Swati, and I'm a student both here and at UF. And something that no one knows about me is, I'm still thinking, is I like to eat more a little bit than usual. So yeah, that's it.
In the early days of the movement, Prabhupada would encouraged devotees to eat until they collapsed. Now you might say, we're supposed to be austere, controlling the tongue is one of the recommendations from Rupa Goswami in the Upadeshamrita. So why is it? It's a curious question. Prabhupada would stuff them with gulab jamuns and everything like this. Why? Because that actually is what you're doing, is the process Krishna conscious. We substitute prasadam for ordinary food. And then we get so addicted to it. And then it's easy to ease off later on. So it's the transition that we do. So that's why devotees are encouraged to eat a lot. At the same time, they're encouraged to not eat too much. It may seem paradoxical, but there's a purpose behind it. Next, please.
Hi, I'm Lo. I'm a student, and I think everyone knows this, but my favorite color is black.
Your favorite color is what?
No.
Black.
Black. Well, Krishna is blackish, so that's very auspicious. Okay.
Hare Krishna, I'm Christina. My service is Women's Ashram Leader at Krishna House. Something that people don't know about me is my last name used to be Chung. Now it is Kelly. That change happened in high school when me and my sister's stepfather legally adopted us, and his last name was Kelly. So then I went from Christina Chung to Christina Kelly.
Okay, very interesting, because Chung is a very typical Korean name, if I remember correctly. Very good. Okay, and what many of you also know is Christina hangs out at the BI a lot, which we love. She loves our library, and we love having her there. And all of you are welcome to visit the BI library. You have your day off. You just make an appointment with Leela. I can arrange that. And you're welcome to go there. And we have 6,000 books, with the majority being in religion, theology, and science, and many rare Vaishnava books that the only place in America you'll find them is in our library. Go on next, please.
Hi, Krishna. My name is Nandarani. I'm from Ukraine. My service is serving Krishna lunch and cleaning the temple room after lunch.
How is your family in Ukraine doing?
My dad just went to Mayapur, so he's there now.
Oh,
And
good.
in California, so they're both safe.
Oh, safe. Yeah, I give classes in Kiev regularly.
Wow. Wow.
One of our BI nerds is a double PhD, Dweja Govind, Kiev. You might know him.
Yeah.
And so
Govinda Prabhu?
Dweja Govinda, yeah.
Yeah.
We regularly speak. One time of course, when the war began, I tried to speak to him as often as he could connect. And he said, the Russian army is on my left and the Ukrainian army on my right, and they're both shooting at each other. So, but he's doing fine now. Okay, thanks. Next, please.
Hare Krishna Brahmatirtha Prabhu. My name is Kevin,
I've heard of you.
and my service here is to take care of the residents in the men's ashram. And something that people don't know about me is that I was a carpenter for a while.
He can also fix your car's windshield. You may not know that. Okay, very good, Kevin. Next, please.
Hare Krishna, I'm Arjuna, and I wash the carts. And something that people don't know about me, a lot of people do know. I guess I have a twin. That's it.
Okay, I might add there are 9 kinds of devotional service according to Prahlad Maharaj, which is in the volume of Bhagavatam we're studying now. And cleaning is one of them, and that is none of the 9 are better or worse than the other. So somebody who's a pujari, worshiping their deities, or doing sankirtan, or clean the dishes, it is all from a spiritual point of view absolutely equal. Now, Prabhupada had used to say things that at first bewildered me till I understood that my mathematics was not transcendental. And he used transcendental math. Here's how it works. He would say to devotees who are making a museum, this is the most important service. He said many times to the scientists, of which that was my branch, this is the most important service. To the book distributors, this is the most important. Now, in ordinary math, you can't have a bunch of things that are most, the most important. There's something most important, then there's something more important, there's something less important. But in Prabhupada's math, there can be many things like that. And that is called transcendental math, because the key point of spirituality, the key point, and this goes back to the Greek philosophers, so this is Western and Eastern. The key point is to see the one behind the many, the unity behind the diversity. When I look at this audience, I see a lot of diversity. Some people have lighter skin, some have darker skin, some are male, some are female, some could be something else. It doesn't make a difference. Some are young. Nobody's quite old yet, I can see. But anyway, be that as it may, it's the unity that's there. So it's a different kind of math. So Prabhupada could say many things most important without contradicting himself, because on a spiritual platform, it actually is true that way. So let's continue. Who's next?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Advaita. It's great to see you.
Yes, nice to see you. Say something more. Say something about you that we may not know.
Well, when I was 19, I was involved with I was involved with the unloading of the 200 tons of watermelons from a ship.
Very good. Where was that?
It was in Split, where my parents are on the coast.
Yeah, in Croatia, yeah. Split's a beautiful city for those of you who haven't seen pictures of it. Just an amazingly beautiful city. Go on. Next.
I don't know if you can see me.
I can now. I'll lean over so I can see you.
So my name is Nick. My service here is usually donate prasadam.
Yeah.
And something most people don't know about me, I have a cat, but she's currently being taken care of by my parents because she can't live in the ashram right now.
Yeah, but if we do get a problem of mice in the kitchen, your cat may move in the ashram. Temples do keep cats because the cat, when the cat's away, the mice do play. And your service is donating the prasadam?
Yes, usually.
It's a critically important service because one of the things that gives us a great reputation, Gainesville, is not only do we feed the students, but it often comes up, are we feeding other people, especially homeless population? And in a liberal town like Gainesville, we get a lot of points for doing that in public relations. And it's a duty. Prabhupada said when Prabhupada came here in July of 1971, he said, no one should be hungry near the temple. I forgot how many miles he said away. No one should be hungry. So the service you're doing is directly something Prabhupada ordered us to do, plus it's great public relations. What you may not know is how we almost got kicked off campus around 12 years ago. Would you like to know that story?
Yeah.
We almost got kicked off the University of Florida campus, but we didn't know it. But I was in charge of kind of relations with the campus. And so the first thing I did is what the Mahabharata network says, what the Mahabharata says we should do, set up a spy network to find out what's going on. And there were rumbles going on. And Sabyasachi was our president then. And what he decided to do, we were serving about 300 Krishna lunch plates a day. How many do we do a day now? Yeah, sometimes 1,500, I hear. So what happened was this. The prior management to Savya and basically served anybody. Anybody could donate anything they want. And the income was low and number of plates were low. Now, this is a very interesting story, what happened. Savia, very, very clever person, very intelligent. He's now lives in Wales, very, very intelligent guy. So he thought, what can we do? So he set up a Krishna lunch table, service, everything in your parking lot. And he invited a focus group of students to come. And he tested out the menu with them, different menus, and let them vote upon it. Monday would be this, Tuesday that. So he kind of improved the menu by putting out tests. Then he wanted to get people to donate because a lot of people weren't donating and a lot of homeless were coming to the campus. So what he did is he worked out a system to get people to donate. And he'd walk up and he practiced in the parking lot what lines would work. Then he went on campus and said, will you please donate? Oh, I don't have any money. And he said, oh, that's fine. Because it's very important. We never one time give the impression to one person we're charging for a meal. We can't. If we charge for a meal, then that violates the contract University of Florida has with their vendor. It's Aramark. I think they're changing companies now, but they have a contract. One company has exclusive use of the food services on campus. And if we're a food service, then we're in violation of that contract, but we're a charity donating. So it's very important, whoever is collecting the money, somebody can't pay, everyone gets a meal for a penny, for nothing, or for $6. And so what he would do is he would walk up people who couldn't pay and said, oh, that's okay. Can you help wash the dishes afterwards? And if they were students, they always have some money, they'll pay. And if they were homeless, they would say, well, we don't want to do that. He said, fine, then we have special for you. And we're serving out at St. Francis House and the Salvation Army. That was before Grace Marketplace. And so he got the homeless to leave the campus and get served out elsewhere. That had a huge impact because once the homeless left the campus, we've kind of met our obligation. We have a moral obligation Prabhupada gave to feed the homeless, to feed students, to feed faculty, to feed everyone. So we met that obligation by doing it at the homeless shelter, and we became the largest supplier of cooked meals to the homeless in Gainesville, which gave us a lot of points. But the homeless then left campus. And when the homeless left campus, we found out through our spy network that the university was considering trying to get us out of campus because they didn't want the homeless on campus. And they were considering getting rid of us. So by us doing that we really didn't know what was going on, it saved Krishna Lunch from being thrown off campus. But when we became focused on students and we kept our obligation to the homeless, but a different location, then it became, and we kind of encouraged people to donate because Prabhupada said people don't take free things as very valuable. All of a sudden, Krishna Lunch doubled overnight, and now it's tripled. So that's the backstory, which I suspect, did anybody here know this story? Now you do. Any question on this story? Christina knew the story. Okay, let's move on. Next person, please.
Hare Krishna Brahmatirtha Prabhu. My name is Narottam Das Thakur Das. Something that people don't know about me is I have learned 6 different forms of martial arts and I've participated in national level tournaments.
Wow. Can you flip Gopal for me as a demo? Okay. Next, please. Gayatri.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, my name is Gayatri. So my service here is to distribute prasadam and clean up after
breakfast and some other cleaning services too. And something that people don't know about me is that I used to do underwater rugby.
Oh my, very good. Next, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My name is Tiana from South Africa. My service here is to work the side porch, and something that people don't know about me. I used to work in promotions despite not having an extroverted personality.
Oh, well, that might help with the side porch. Next, please.
Hi, Bo. My name is Kiara. I'm a student and I do part-time service here with Krishna Lunch. And the only thing I could think of was when I was little, I wanted to have my ashes spread like in a forest. Because I wanted to like be in the soil that like would grow an avocado that a monkey would eat. Because I really just wanted to pass through the body of a monkey. Yeah.
Fascinating. It may have some last life remnants. It could be. Have any of you experienced jet lag?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's something called reincarnation lag, where we had a particular body last life. In this life, there's still pieces of it. That often happens in gender, where someone may not know what their gender is. You know, there's some, and that's something that comes from previous life, and it's like reincarnation lag. It's like a jet lag, and that's not a rare thing, but it happens. Okay, let's continue. Nanda, I think I know who you are, but go ahead.
Yeah, you know me, so I don't know. I can't think of anything people don't know. Maybe there's a reason why they don't know. Maybe I like it that way. What?
That's a good answer. Yeah, and Nanda, you all know her, but there's hardly anybody who works harder or makes a better breakfast. No. And it's very admirable when someone is flexible to do the needful. And Nanda has always been flexible and dedicated to do the needful. So it's, you know, when you're with someone every day, you may not appreciate their deep devotional qualities, but Nanda, you're all very fortunate. I say that from the core of my heart. So let's go on to the, who else is here?
Hi,
You have to,
Krishna.
yes,
Me?
yes.
Well, my name is Kaylee, and just coming back to Krishna House. So I'm doing Krishna lunch and just kind of random other sevas. But something people don't know about me, I feel like an open book, but maybe something people don't know in general is today is Jupiter's day or Brihaspati. So it's a good day to reach out to gurus and spiritual things like that.
That's a good point. Very good. So we'll try to do that today. Is there anybody else I missed? Yes.
You probably can't see me. My name is Govinda.
Yes.
I do Sankirtan on campus, and then something people don't know about me. I was thinking when I was little, I used to take professional dancing classes.
You know Murli Gopal, he still does that on campus. Murli Gopal, our scientist. Very good.
But I don't.
Okay, next.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, my name is Gopi Jivana Dasa. I recently joined the community. Tiana and I are from South Africa. I make the tea and take it to campus, serve out the tea, and try and meet some students and befriend them. And I also enjoy any service related to just trying to share Krishna with others. And something people don't know about me, continuing the theme of dance. When I was 11, I won a dance competition.
Well, we'll have to see what you do at Arctic.
Hey, Bo, I'm Safa, and something that people might not know about me is I've been training like archery and sword skills for about 6 years now, and I talk to cows, and they talk back.
They do. Very good. We got everyone, or I think so.
There's few people here. Four
Okay.
more. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My name is Nithai. I'm a student at UF and I help out with the morning and evening programs. And something most people don't know about me is when I was in high school, I was a lot into heavy metal music. I used to listen to those music every day.
Well, you've improved your taste, I notice, in music. Thank you, Nitai. Next.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So my name is Deva Prasanna, and here I do kind of miscellaneous service. When I get opportunity, I try to serve. So I don't discriminate among services. And but in general, I do like, CSR activities, digital transformation, company matching, and yeah, I do tons of things actually at ISB and beyond. So this year, like I donated like 100 Bhagavatam sets during Bhadra Purnima.
Wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
100. Where are you from?
So I work at California, but I'm originally from India.
Where?
Odisha.
Oh, yeah. I was your neighbor. I used to live in Bihar. I was a high school teacher in Bihar. So right next to Orissa.
Yeah. So maybe some interesting facts. I have been to 20 states in India and 30 states in US.
Okay. Well, you only have 37 to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. And one more thing, maybe like, during
go on, please.
During Sadhu Sangha 2022, like I slept less than 15 hours for 5 days.
I would still be recovering from that. Okay, no, very good. You really can't.
This is Banahari. You should know me.
I can't see you.
This is Banahari.
Oh, I didn't realize you were back. I'm so happy to see you. My gosh, you've just made my whole day.
I'm temporarily here modifying the cards.
Oh, I am so happy you're here. Oh my gosh, this made my whole day. Now I'm so glad I went around the room. Very happy to see you. This is very good news. I missed you a lot, so I'm very glad you're here.
What people mostly don't know about me is I like honeydew melon halva.
Very good. Shruti will tell us.
Let me unmake your day, Ashton. My name is Shruti Saradas. I serve here as town president, and one thing that people don't know about me is I learned classical South Indian classical violin when I was in high school for like 3 years. So nice.
I love violin during kirtans. I can't. So you maybe can make that a hobby of yours. Think about it. Okay, we've gone through everyone. I realize I used up 2/3 of my class time getting to know you, but to me, and please excuse that indulging, but to me that was very important. I'll tell you a little bit about me. Most of you know me, some of you don't. Let me see, the camera got blurry. Somebody will fix that. I joined the movement. I was a high school teacher in the state of Bihar, which, as Shruti will tell you, is the most advanced, progressive, modern, least political state in all of India. Of course, it's the opposite. And while I was teaching in high school,
Right, Bihar is the greatest thing about India.
Yeah, I was once giving a Friday class and Shruti Saga was new here. I was giving a Friday class at Krishna House, and it was mostly Indian. So I explained my time in India, and I told that kind of joke. I was from the most advanced state, Bihar. Everyone starts snickering until Shruti raises his hand and goes, "I'm a Bihari." While I was in India, I went to India to try to understand the Gita. And while I was there, I had the good fortune of being the only guest at the first Mayapur festival, when there was no there were only tents, there was nothing but land. And I got to spend several days with Prabhupada, just talking to him. So that's a very fortunate thing. Okay, thank you for indulging me in this, because I can't be there. I really can't get to know you. So Krishna gave this opportunity for us to get to know each other a little better. Now we'll get on with the verses. Shruti, I hope this is okay that I took this digression here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're going to zip through some verses, read one paragraph of a purport, and then have a little bit of discussion. So we're beginning, make sure I got this correct here, my instructions of what to do. Yeah, okay. So we'll begin with verse 43. So a living entity desires comfort. Oh, Chris, thank you for putting in the chat who you are. I appreciate that. So a living entity desires comfort for his body and makes many plans for this purpose. But actually, the body is a property of others. Indeed, the perishable body embraces the living entity and then leaves him aside. So I'm going to give you a little science to back this up. You know, I run the Bhaktivedanta Institute, branch of the movement that does the intersection of science and spirituality. I'm a scientist myself. So sometimes somebody is born, I think it's called hydrocephalus, something like that. They're born with only a brain stem. And when they're born with a brain stem, they should not be able to function. There's no visual cortex for seeing, auditory cortex for hearing, frontal cortex for thinking, speech. None of those functions are in the brain stem. It's just the autonomic functions, breathing, digestion come from there. If I would have a stroke and I would lose all the pieces of my brain, but the brain stem, I would become basically a vegetable. You would put me in a flower pot and water me or whatever, but that's what would happen. Now, and we know what parts of the brains function for different things because we can put any of you in an MRI machine, magnetic resonance machine, and we can see where the blood moves in the brain when you're angry, when you're happy, when you're thinking deeply, when you're talking, when you're seeing things. We can see which parts of the brain literally light up on the screen. That's well known. Now, if a baby is born with only the brainstem, they shouldn't be able to do any of these things. But some of these babies grow up, they walk, they talk. They're not fully functional, but they're functional. They can even read and write. They do things. They function. How is this possible? Because if I would have a stroke and lose the same functions, just have it, I become a vegetable. That's because the subtle body enters this gross body. Subtle body is composed of a mind and intelligence, false ego. Subtle body enters your body. And when it enters your body, the first thing it does is become attached to it. It becomes very attached to your body. And when it becomes attached, and I lose a piece of my brain, then the brain has a plasticity to it. And with a lot of training, a different part of the brain may assume the functions of a part that's lost. But basically, if you have a bad stroke, you lose your functionality. But this baby is born as if it's the worst of strokes and becomes functional because the subtle body has not become attached to that gross body yet. Therefore, the subtle body can make do with the brainstem. So that's an interesting little piece of medical science to back up what this saying in this body. A living entity desires comfort and makes plans, but becomes attached to that particular body. Since the body itself is ultimately meant to become stool or earth, what is a stool? When you die, why stool? Because is anybody familiar with the Parsis, the Zoroastrians? What do those Zoroastrians do upon death with the body? Well, this is a problem. Anybody know?
They put them on a high tower, and then the vultures come. Well, should I tell more?
The vultures come and eat it, and the body turns into stool, vulture stool. Now, so be respectful to vulture stool. It may be your relative. So now in Bombay, not far from a Krishna temple, just going north, that was all just forest back 50 years ago, and not very densely inhabited like now. And the Parsis would build their tall towers. They have a name for the tower. The name slips my mind. I think the Tower of Silence, something like that, where they'd put the bodies to be eaten by the vultures. And then it started developing, and they built high rises. So these high rises are built, and people from their window can see the vultures eating bodies. It didn't turn out the way they had planned. Anyway, so that's what it means here when it becomes stool. And what is the meaning of the paraphernalia related to the body, such as wives or husbands, residence, wealth, children, relatives, servants, friends, kingdoms, treasuries, animals, and ministers? They are all temporary. What more can we say about it? Sometimes I have fun and I go look at my credit card. I have an American Express card since 1976. And when I call up American Express for whatever issue I might have, they always say to me, "Oh, thank you for being a member for so long." As if there's some pride in that I possess that, I've been there. But whenever they say that, I think, hey, I'm going to be gone, and this card isn't going to mean anything. It's all gone. It just disappears. My 1976, I have to start all over again with a 0 credit score. Okay, so all of this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as a body exists. But as soon as a body is destroyed, all things related to the body are finished. And now this is Prahlad, that these are the teachings that Prahlad had learned. So these are the teachings he had learned in the womb. All things related to body are finished. Therefore, actually one has nothing to do with them, but because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable compared to the ocean of eternal happiness. These are most insignificant. What is the use of such insignificant relationships for the eternal being? Prabhupada gives the example. And when I'm at the Gesundheit, when I'm at the ocean, I watch the waves come in. And when the waves come in, you'll see the seaweed tangles together. And the next wave goes, the seaweed separates. And the next wave comes in, different seaweed tangles together. That's the example that is found in the Bhagavatam to describe our relationships. We have our parents, our spouses, our kids, our friends, but they come and they go. So, my dear friends, O sons of the Asuras, this is again Prahlad speaking what he had learned in the womb. Now, learning in the womb, I'm going to pause for a second. How do you learn something in the womb? That's weird, isn't it? I mean, but even medical science has confirmed by 7 months, the sense of hearing is developed. And a child in the womb may have a greater awareness than a child shortly after birth, because the shock of birth kind of, whoo, that's not easy. So, so a child is aware. I remember when my kids there, we would read Bhagavatam to my wife's belly, and we noticed more when we would read Bhagavatam, there'd be more activity in the belly. Kids can hear it. So, my dear friends, a living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous activities. Again, this is what Prahlad had learned when in the womb. Thus, he is seen to suffer with reference to this particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is a living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities which result in hardship and misery? As Krishna says in the Gita, that this world is a place of suffering, dukkhalam. It's difficult. It's a difficult place. So, karmini arabate dehi dehanat atma nurvatina karma bhas tunate deham ubayam tvi aviktaha. I'm not going to have all you chant because I spent all the time just having fun with you. The living entity who has perceived his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his action in this life. But this does not mean he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity sees one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus, he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of gross ignorance. So, we'll read a little bit of the purport. Shruti, because you don't serve today, we can go a few minutes over.
Oh yeah, sure, bro.
Okay, because I took up some time just to get to know you. I'm going to have one of you read the first paragraph. It's actually a good paragraph.
The living entity's evolution through different types of bodies is conducted automatically by the laws of nature and bodies other than those of human beings. In other words, by the laws of nature. I'm not going to do the Sanskrit, I'll butcher it. The living entity. Thank you. The living entity evolves from lower grades of life to the human form. Because of his developed consciousness, however, the human being must understand the constitutional position of the living entity and understand why he must accept a material body. This chance is given to him by nature, but if he nonetheless acts like an animal, what is the benefit of his human life? In this life, one must select the goal of life and act accordingly, having received instructions from the spiritual master and the Shastra. One must be sufficiently intelligent. In the human form of life, one should not remain foolish and ignorant, but must inquire about his constitutional position. This is called the human psychology gives rise to many questions, which various philosophers have considered and answered with various types of philosophy based upon mental concoction. This is not the way of liberation. The Vedic instructions say that to solve the problem of life, one must accept spiritual master. If one is actually serious in inquiring about the solution to material existence, one must approach a bona fide guru.
Okay, we'll stop there. On the next verse, Tad Vidi Prani Patena Pari Prarsena Sevaya, a very famous verse. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge because he or she has seen the truth. So this is my own story. When I went to Mayapur in 1972, I ran into devotees in Calcutta, and they were doing food relief for Bangladesh refugees. There had just been a war with India, Pakistan. It had been a nasty war. Bangladesh became an independent country, and there were many, many refugees. And Mayapur, as you know, is very close to the border with what used to be East Pakistan and then became Bangladesh. So I was told there was a food relief program. So all of you love food relief programs because you're at Krishna House. So I volunteered to go help, not knowing what was going on. And when I got there, there were just a little Bhajan Kutir for Prabhupada, which is still there, a hut, thatched hut, and a men's tent, a women's tent, and a stage. That was it. There was no merchants. You couldn't buy anything. There was nothing but huge pots and big pits in the ground filled with wood and huge pots, and they were making unlimited amount of khichdi every day to feed unlimited amount of refugees. So what did I do? I was serving prasadam, and one devotee, Tejas, said, "Why don't you come meet Prabhupada?" So I said, "Sure." So I met Prabhupada. And so what was I doing? First thing is, when I met Prabhupada, I had been to temples in America, and I respected his followers. So I said, I'm not going to challenge him. See if I can learn something. I went to India to try to understand the Gita better. I had a specific reason to go. I only knew one verse in the whole Gita, not in Sanskrit, in English, that had bewildered me. And when I went there, I inquired submissively from Prabhupada. I wasn't going to challenge him. I was rendering service. And what did Prabhupada do? He can impart knowledge, and he gave me knowledge. And the one verse I knew was the very first verse Prabhupada quoted to me, quite mystically. He quoted in Sanskrit, which he knew that I didn't know any. Quoted in Sanskrit and turned to me and says, "So you know this?" And it was the only verse I knew in English in the Gita. Quite mystical experience. So Prabhupada said to me in a letter something very important, and it has to do with the process described in this verse. And he said, he said, this is a little embarrassing to read, but he said it, so I'll read it. "I know you're a very good boy, very intelligent, and your behavior is gentle. So I have all confidence that Krishna very quickly will bestow his blessings upon you. Now, one makes his advancement by voluntarily giving up attachments to material nature." Now, all of you are doing a certain austerity. You get up early in the morning, you take a shower, I hope, and like this. The renunciation is called tapasya, but we are not very willing to perform austerities without good reason. Therefore, any man or woman with a good scientific and philosophical mind, like your good self, must first appreciate what transcendental knowledge is. If you get knowledge, automatically tapasya will follow, and then make your advancement in spiritual life. So to get knowledge is the first item for anyone who is hoping to find the perfection. Therefore, I advise you to read our books daily as far as possible and understand the subject matter. And this is very important, what Prabhupada said next. Very, very important. From different points, try to understand the subject matter from different angles of vision by discussing it frequently with the devotees. And this way, you'll become gradually convinced, and by your sincere attitude and devotional service, you will make progress. And then Prabhupada says, having faith in me and in this Krishna conscious process is the first and only requirement for getting wisdom. If there is faith, understanding will follow. As your understanding increases, so will your disgust with the spell of illusory energy. And when you voluntarily give up your entanglements, then the progress is assured. So this fits very well in what we're discussing here. The question is, okay, I'm not this body, kind of theoretically understand these things. I'm not, these attachments, but none of us can just go and give them up. And if we try to, there was one devotee, he joined the movement in the early days, and he put, a harmonica, the little instrument you play in the mouth, he put a harmonica rack around his neck. The harmonica rack holds it. And in it, he put the mantra card. And so all day he would be chanting Hare Krishna, looking at the mantra card. And when people would say, can you help clean the kitchen? He goes, oh, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Can you help sweep? I'm chanting Hare Krishna. And he lasted about 2 weeks and we never saw him again. That's an important lesson because it says here, if you want to get knowledge, you render service. He didn't render any service. Now, there are some people like Haridas Thakur who are the Namacharya. Their business is to chant all day. That happens. There are some people like that. But for most of us, our mind is too restless. There's no way we'll do it. As Kalakanta was talking to you on Monday, how important it is to put sacred time aside, to chant the holy name, the critical nature of that. That's what sustains us. That's there. But very few, if any of us, are going to chant all day. Some might, bhajanandas they're called. That's fine. That's rare. So the idea is that when we join the movement, and when we enter an ashram to experience it, not even joining the movement, I don't want to say it, just entering an ashram to experience it, there's certain austerities. You voluntarily agree to certain austerities, but most importantly, you're getting knowledge. You're going to classes in the morning, in the evening, you're reading on your own, you're talking among each other, raising your doubts, very important, from various points of view. And then by doing this, as Prabhupada said to me, then naturally you want to do more austerity. I've seen those who join and try to make advancement just by the austerity process. There is a yoga process of just austerities make advancement. It's very, very difficult in Kali Yuga, and very few of us will do it. So that's what's herein. I've used up a lot of time. I'm going to stop here if Shruti says I have a few minutes to see if there are any questions or comments, and especially try to understand from different points of view. So if somebody has some comments or something they want to reflect back, boy, this is something I learned, or something new, or a question, go ahead. Now's your time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You mentioned that it's very important to discuss our doubts with devotees. But maybe can you explain more? Because my first thought is that you have to approach the right devotees. Otherwise, you'll just go down like almost like a spiral where you might lose more faith or more doubts come up if you're not properly discussing your doubts with the right devotees. Can you say something about that?
You raised a critical point and you said it very well. There's not much more I can say because you summarized it. Rupa Goswami says in the Upadeshamrita that one should reveal their mind in confidence. Now, the key words he used are in confidence, because in confidence means we're approaching people we trust. You don't tell people your inner secrets to people you don't trust. What does it mean to trust someone? It means you believe they have your welfare in mind. That's what it means to trust. So I go to the barber shop. Well, not anymore, obviously, but I used to go to the barber shop. And at the barber shop, I trust he's going to cut my hair. Sometimes he'd give me a shave and he has the razor. He's not going to slit my throat. There's a certain trust, minimal trust that's needed. Now, to reveal my mind to the barber, I'm not going to do that. I'll trust him with my neck and a knife, but I'm not going to reveal my mind to him. So it means approaching people that we trust, that have our welfare in mind. That may be our temple leaders, it may be our spiritual master, it may be anybody, but that's what it means. Is there any other question or comment? Yes.
You said there was a process for austerity in Kali Yuga that was very, very difficult. I was wondering what the process looked like what actions had to be played out.
And that's in the Gita. Krishna says you sit on kusha grass and you sit in a special lotus posture and you face forward. And this guy's in great detail in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. But if you really get into the Yoga Sutras, the whole purpose of this yoga thing is to still the mind so we can connect with the holy name. So if you're in the forest, you're sitting peacefully, it's easier to do it. In the city with all the hustle and bustle and sirens, it's much more difficult. So Prabhupada generally recommended we do active service because we're active. But there are some people who by nature, maybe previous life or whatever, can sit and meditate for long periods of time. That's okay too. But if we don't meditate, we don't understand we're meditating ultimately upon the feet of Krishna, then eventually we will get bored. There was one book written by this guy, I think, Kornman. He was an American yogi who went to India and received what he calls enlightenment. He realized he wasn't this body. And he had meditated deeply, and he's written a bunch of books now. He had some very intense spiritual experiences. Then he came back to America, and he wrote a book that was exactly predicted by Prabhupada. Because what he said is, the name of the book was, After Enlightenment, There is the Laundry. Meaning, there's still mundane life goes on. And he then, at the conclude of the book, and the goal of life is to become a philanthropist, do nice things to people. In other words, be in the mode of goodness somehow. And Prabhupada said that the great yogis who are very successful at meditation eventually fall back to doing philanthropic activities because they've reached something in the mode of goodness, so they can't do ordinary passion and ignorant activities, but they still are not transcendental. They can't surpass that. And only in Kali Yuga, Nasteva, Harinam, Harinam, Harinama. The only way is through the holy name in Kali Yuga because it's too tense an age. That's a nice question you asked.
Thank you very much.
We can do one more question because I see Prashadam is out there. Kevin.
Hare Krishna, thank you for class. It was really nice. On the point you made about the devotee with the harmonica and the mantra, it seems like I guess we can try to come up with ways to practice and that we think is best. And it's based on our individuality, I guess, whatever like floats our boat kind of thing. But in his case, I guess it didn't work out. Like he didn't stick around. So I was wondering if you can speak on that, because I often find myself feeling like I'm gonna lose like my individuality, who I am, at least like when I first came here, like by just trying to blend in with everybody else. And I don't know, I felt very challenged by that. And I was wondering if you can speak on that.
Well, I'll do more than speak on it. Let me see if I can pull this up very quickly. I had exactly the same question. I mean, I worded it probably almost the way you did. And that was a concern. Will I lose my individuality? Of course, my individuality, as I defined it then, was probably much more a false ego-driven individuality than my deeper one. But I'll see, I'll pull this up very quickly, see if I can get this for you. Just indulge me for a moment here. Here it is. I asked Prabhupada the same question. I was looking up the answer, but I'm not going to keep you waiting. What Prabhupada said to me is that you actually recover your individuality, but you're giving up your false individuality of identifying with the body. For example, why do we put on sometimes different dress or shave our heads, especially change our name? Because we're trying to reduce our concept with this body. You know, our mother's thinking, oh, Kevin, you're the best of the best of the best of the best. And our father says, you're so wonderful. And, you know, we're brought up that way. Or sometimes we're brought up the opposite way. You're a bum and you'll always be a bum and you're nothing but a bum. But either way, either side puts us in a bodily concept that I'm simply wonderful or I'm simply a bum. Neither one of them is very psychologically healthy. So we're trying to take more of a middle road. Who are we really? What's our real position? And it's a transitional process. So we're going to give up some false identity and get some real identity. And in the middle of that process, sometimes we may feel we don't even know our identity. We're lost. And that is not an uncommon experience. And in fact, in the Bhakta Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami discusses that phenomena. Not time to go into detail with it now. We can do that another time. So you will naturally go through this clearing phase. It's described when we chant, we have the mirror of the mind, and it's very dusty. And we're dusting off this mirror so we can see our real self. But in the process, we have that false image of ourself that we've seen in this dusty mirror that's not really us. And the real image is starting to appear, but it's not quite there yet. And we may feel a little lost. Therefore, and especially so, that is why, Prabhupada, we need good association. I want to ask Prabhupada a question, a very, very important question. When I was in Mayapur, there was about 60 or 70 devotees there. Most of them about your age, all of them your age. I think the oldest may have been a high 20s. Some people have been in the movement 2 weeks. Some have been in the movement 5 years maximum. And those who had been in the movement 5 years maximum or 2 weeks, I couldn't tell the difference. They all had an odd haircut and wore bed sheets. So how could I tell the difference? Or saris, I couldn't tell the difference. And they were all giving me advice because everyone was in a preaching mood. And you have 60, 70 people in a preaching mood and one English-speaking guest at the festival to preach to. What's that going to look like? I mean, they're forming lines. Who can get him next? They're all in a preaching mood, and there's one. And they're all preaching to me. This is most important. That's most important. You must rise early. You must worship Tulsi. This, that, everything is most important. So then I was so bewildered. I went and asked Prabhupada. This was after, this is not in the published conversation, but I asked Prabhupada, what's most important? I'm bewildered. My head is blowing up. And so take guesses what he said. If you've heard me speak on this before, don't answer, because I've spoken on this before at Krishna House. What was most important? Can anybody guess? And that answers your question. What's the most important thing for me to do? I mean, should I just read the books, chant Hare Krishna, get up early in the morning, eat prasadam, get a special haircut, put on Brahmin underwear? What's the most important thing? All of these things were said to me as most important.
Chant the holy name.
Very important, but something more important. So I will chant the holy name. Yes. always remember Krishna. This is how to always remember Krishna.
Stay with devotees, like associate.
Yeah, good association. You got it. Give that man some maha. He gets a piece of maha. The most important thing was good association. Then I will chant the holy name. Then I will get up early in the morning. Then I will, take my showers. I will do the things that are best to do. But Prabhupada said to me, the key answer is good association. Then everything else follows, which means avoid bad association. So with that, we'll stop here. Thank you very much. It's so happy to be virtually at Krishna House. I hope soon arrangements will be allowed. I could be there in person. Thank you very much. And I apologize for giving you a slightly cold breakfast. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.